Hi guys, so this is quadratic formula. We are setting up for Tuesday's lesson. I'm just going to apologize. I am going to write this way. I know it appears smaller on the screen, but we're going to need the calculator a lot throughout this lesson, so I want to make sure it's easy for me to go back and forth. All right, so let's start with our equation. And I ask myself, is the equation equal to 0? It is not, so I'm going to just take care of that quick. And check off step 1. All right, so now I'm good to go. So now I'm going to find my a, b, and c. Before I do that, I see that there's an x squared without a number. I'm going to put a 1 there so I don't forget that as part of my a, b, and c. So I'm going to go ahead and color code here. Let's call this one a, b, and c is a negative number. Make sure to include that. All right, step 2, good to go. All right, step 3, plug into the quadratic formula. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this out. You do not need to have this memorized. All right, for your reference, the formula goes like this. B, B, A, C, A. All right, and I put those on top so I didn't have to erase. All right, let's start with filling out our A. So A's are gonna go here and here. So for A, I have 1. B's are going to go here and here. And C is my last parenthesis on the top. Make sure you put in that negative number. You will get a different answer if you don't put it. All right, so simplify underneath the square root first. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write everything out except what's under the square root. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and plug in. I'm going to use a different color. All of these numbers into my calculator to get one simplified answer that's going to go here. All right, let me switch screens while I do that. So we have 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 16. And that gets me square root of 80. Notice how I didn't type in the square root. I'm leaving it on my paper, and I'm just trying to get the number that is underneath. So that gets me 80. All right, I'm gonna make that smaller. All right, so now it says to simplify everything else. So my first piece is just negative 4. 80 stays the same. And 2 times 1 is just 2. All right, so let's break this up. I get x equals negative 4 divided by 2 plus square root of 80 divided by 2. That is my plus side. Now I'm going to write my minus side. The 4 is not affected. That stays the same. What's changing is the symbol in the center. So this is what changed. This was plus or minus. Now it's plus on this side. and it's minus on the right side. All right, so I can simplify that. I'm going to test it out in my calculator. So the first thing I see is -4 divided by 2. That's -2. So I can go ahead and simplify that. And then I'm going to see, is 80 over 2 square root of 80 a nice number? It's not, so I'm just going to leave it. All right, and that was step number 7. So this is my final answer. All right, so let's say I solve that on my test, I get 100%, but now it comes time for the Regents, and I see this multiple choice. And I say, what the heck? I solved this whole thing. I got 2 answers. I know I'm right. I didn't make any mistakes, but why isn't my answer there? So let's start by looking at the first number. So the first number we got in our answer was -2. All right, I see a -2, so I'm going to go ahead and cross off 1 and 3. But now I see our answer has a square root of 80 divided by 2, and this answers have a 2 square root 5 and a 4 square root 5. So an easy way to just check that is to see which one is equivalent. So when I type in square root of 80 divided by 2, notice how I put a parenthesis around that. It is super important to do that. You will not get the same answer if you don't. All right, so that is the first one. I'm going to check 2 square root 5. It matches, and I'm just going to check 4 square root 5 just in case to make sure. And I see that 2 square root 5 and square root of 80 divided by 2 gives me approximately 4.47. And this one did not. So my correct answer, as well as the answers that I circled above, is choice number 2. So we're going to practice this in class Tuesday. All right, see ya.